And we are live, you guys. So let's take a look at what we have. So first of all, let's go through the answers from yesterday. So number 1, the mean was 5, the median was 4, and the mode was 2, because there's more 2s than anything else. I like the median because the 16 really is so big. It's an outlier that messes up the mean. So I like the median as the best center of tendencies. Number 2, the outlier is definitely 44. One explanation might be a baby gorilla. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So again, your outlier, you'd probably throw that out and not use that in your data. Number 3, on my standard deviation, first of all, the range was 30, biggest minus smallest, and on this one, on Team B, the range was 21, biggest minus smallest. 4, I've got the standard deviation of A is to be 8.7, and B, standard deviation was 6.4 inches. So obviously this team has more spread out heights, like super tall and super short. So this is an indicator that tells us how spread out the data is, okay? So and then finally on 5, if you just increase set by 8, all it does is it just changes everything up so that it just makes everything a little bit bigger, okay? But the standard deviation doesn't change at all, okay? Alright, so now, real quick, before we begin, I have to tell you that, honestly, nobody does standard deviation by hand. Everybody in the world uses either a computer or a calculator or something. So what I did, because I don't want you to have to do this big, long, ugly thing ever again, okay? It's just too much work. But how do you do a standard deviation on your calculator? Well, you can use a calculator, and if I go to Stats, here's my Stat button, and not everybody has a calculator. Edit, and I put the numbers in. Let's say I go 58, 75, 60, 48, 56, 78, 60, 57. Oops, no, come on, Bill, don't mess that up. Go back to 78, 60, enter, 57, enter, 54, enter, and 59, enter, and then I go back to Stat, calculate, one variable Stat, boom, calculate, boom, and there it is. There's my standard deviation. It tells me, okay, there's my 8.7. Okay, now that's on a calculator, but not everybody has a fancy calculator, but most of you have a phone. So what I did is under my App Store, to my apps, and I found this button right here, Stat Calc Lite. It cost me, I think, $2. Pretty cheap for a standard deviation. So I went in there, and then if I want to put it in, I want to enter data. So this is the one I picked. It's pretty simple. Enter data, and I can just start putting in my numbers. So for instance, I go 49, next. I can go 50, next. 70, next. 56, next. 58, next. 66, next. I like this app. It's easy to use. 64, next. Oops, yep. 57, next. 62, next. And 63. And then done. And then what I should get is, there it is. There's my range, my median. It's even got my mean, my median, my mode. It's got my standard deviation. It shows the whole thing. There's my standard deviation of 4.6. Okay. So again, what I did is clear data. I found this app from my App Store. It cost me, I think, $2. Some of them are free. Now, if you don't have a fancy phone, you can even go on the internet, and there are standard deviation calculators. It makes it so much better than having to do it the way we did it yesterday. Okay, so you will never, ever, ever have to do it this long, awful way again. Just use a calculator or a computer or something. Okay. Anyway, now today's lesson. All right, let's take a look at today's lesson. All right, let me get my notes here. Okay. So today's lesson, we're going to learn about a thing called a box and whisker plot. So here's my objective. We're going to learn about box and whisker plots. And this is an example of a box and whisker plot, okay? So what it does, it helps us figure out how spread out our data is. It doesn't give us all of our data, it just gives us a little quick pick of how our data is spread out. Okay, so a box and whisker has a box, that's our box, and whiskers. Okay, and right in the middle of the box has to be the median. Okay, so let's figure out how this works. So first of all, I have an example here. I've got number first cousins. So this is out of our journal, and in our journal they talk about you know, if you were to interview all the kids in algebra and how many first cousins do you have, and then you can go through and you can get all the data. So they got all the data. To save time, what I did is I lined them up from, first of all, least to greatest. I did that first. Okay, started at 0 and I lined them up. Okay, now you have to do that because you have to be able to find the median. To find the median we know is the middle. So just like lining kids up for a picture, we can start with the shortest and line them all the way up to the tallest. Okay, so we got to find the middle person. So I counted, I think 19, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Now if there's an even number, there would be 2 people in the middle, you just average them up. So, but this is an easy problem because with 19, the middle is going to be the 9. How do I know that? Well, if there's 19, then I'd have 9 numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'd have 9 numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9, 9, that's 18, and the very middle number would be this guy right here. So if we're taking a picture, that's the guy or that's the girl standing in the middle. Okay, that's my median. Okay, now Q1. Q1 is quarter 1. So we take, this is my first half. Think of a football game, volleyball game, or whatever. This is my first half. This is my second half. And if I need quarter 1, I've got 9, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what's the middle of that? Well, 4 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So right there is Q1, quarter 1. Okay, that's the middle of the first half. The same thing over here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4 puts the 14 as quarter 3. Okay, so what I did is I found the middle of all the data, then I found the middle of the first half, and I found the middle of the second half. If there are 2 numbers, it's an even number of numbers, you just add those 2 and divide by 2. You take the average of those 2, okay? So now, what I want to do is draw a number line and create a box and whisker. Okay, so here's what I do. I'm going to try and make it look like this. So why not? Now, first is a number line. And my lowest number is 0, and my highest number is 45. So it goes 0, maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, yeah, probably 10, 20, 30, 40, okay? All right, now here's what I'm going to do. My whiskers. So the 0 is my very lowest. That's my whisker. That's my whisker end. It's my whisker end. Okay, so I'll put a dot at 0. That's my whisker end. Here's my other whisker end. It would be at 45. Okay, so 45 is right about here. So I'll put another whisker end here. Okay. Okay, that's the whiskers. Now let's build a box. So quarter 1, quarter 3. So quarter 1 was 3. So 3 is right about there. So put a box. And quarter 3. So quarter 3 is going to be the other box. Quarter 3 is 14, which is about right about here. Okay. What am I doing? Probably pretty good. And now I'm going to draw my box. Connect my whiskers. There's my whiskers, and then my median has to be in there. Now 9 is right about there, so I put my median right there at 9. That's my median, okay? So, here's my box and whisker plot. Well, that was pretty easy, but what does this tell me? I mean, big deal. Well, what it tells me is that most of my data is here, right? So most of my second cousins fall within 3 and 14, okay? Now that's my interquartile range. So my interquartile range is the spread between Q3 and Q1. It's Q3 minus Q1 is my interquartile range, okay? So, this 45, if I look at my box and whisker, my 45 is so far off that it's probably an outlier, okay? So the 45 probably shouldn't be in there because it really changes your data, but you can see that most of my data is in here. The box and whisker tells me that, okay? So now, if the 45 is an outlier, I'm going to talk to you about outliers in a second, okay? So let me turn the page. And there is an actual definition of an outlier, okay? So if you're an outlier, then you're going to be 1.5 times interquartile range, okay? So is 45 an outlier? So first of all, let's figure it out. My interquartile range was from Q3, which was 14. My interquartile range was 14 to 3, which is 11, right? Okay. So now I'm going to multiply that times 1.5. If I use my calculator, what is 11? Hold on for a second. 11 times 1.5 turns out to be a 16.5. So here is what it means. So anything from right there, there's 16.5 up is okay. We don't throw it away. Anything from here back 16.5 is okay. We don't throw it away. Is 45 beyond that? Well, if you take your 14 and we add it to this 16.5, I get a 20.5. Okay, so what does that mean? Let's take a look. So 20.5 is right around here. Okay, that means that if it's an outlier, it lies beyond that. So 45 is definitely an outlier, so normally we would throw it out. Okay, so you go back to the 45 and say, nah, it's so big, it really changes my data, so we throw out the 45. Okay, so now if we want to regraph this whole graph without the 45, then I'd throw out the 45 and I'd make my 24 become my new spot, my new whisker. So 24 is right about there. Okay, now you might say, is 24 an outlier? Well, let's see. Seems like even 24 is an outlier. So then the next one you would pick would probably be the 18. And the 18 would work, so the 18 would be right about there. Okay, we won't do a lot of this, but today I do want you to make box and whisker plots, okay? We'll talk more about outliers later. So that's it. Today, what you're going to do, to recap, you're going to take your data, line them up in order. Find the middle, that's the median. Find the middle of the first half, that's quarter 1. Find the middle of the second half, that's quarter 2. You've got your whiskers. You've got your box ends, quarter 1, quarter 3, and you've got your median, okay? All right, that's what I want you to do for today. Homework is found on page 198, 1 through 4 all. Let's take a look at that. Okay, 198. 198. is right here. Okay, make a box and whiskers. Not that many datas. Make a box and whisker. Here they give you a box and whisker, and you need to interpret the data. And number 4, same thing. You've got 2 box and whiskers, and you have to just interpret the data. Okay, so that's what I have for you for today. Get your work in. We as a staff talked about it, and if you're not doing anything, then same as normal, you will have to do the class again.